Welcome. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of information about me. I am a speech language pathologist. So for those of you that don't know what that is, I get to help people communicate. So people who have different language differences, I get to help them communicate. And I specifically work with kids who have different language differences and using technology to help them communicate. And I love how it kind of beautifully interacts with what I'm passionate about, which is expression. I am a writer and public speaker. I'm the author of 2 self-guided journals. The first one is The Sun Looks Good on You. And the second one is Love in the Skin, in which we will actually be doing some writing prompts from that journal. I'm a business owner at Millie Speaks. I'm an avid journaler. I think that probably since I could write, since I was able to formulate thoughts, I have been keeping a diary and journaling. And I will also say that I believe that writing with truth and transparency leads to transformation. So what does that mean? I feel like some of the most impactful art is art that's true, that's honest. It's a mirror to ourselves. And so my hope is that during this time, we are able to be honest and transparent as we are journaling together. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay. So before we get started, I wanted to do just an emotional check-in. I wanted to see how you're feeling today. I think that we all probably had maybe we had an eventful morning, or we're all coming into this journaling happy hour, having experienced different things on our Thursday. So before we get started, I really just wanted us to take 1 to 2 minutes to write how we're feeling. I'm not able to share any music with you guys, but if you have music that kind of relaxes you, that gets you kind of in that writing mood, I invite you to play that as we begin journaling. So I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes, and then I will bring us back to start the first prompt. So I'm starting the timer now. All right, so my timer just went off, and I see a few people have kind of written in the chat how they're feeling. So some have wrote lonely, uncertainty, indecisive. I can totally kind of connect with a lot of those feelings. And, you know, right now I'm feeling excited and nervous and hopeful that this event goes really well. Some are feeling anxious about the future. So there seems like there's this kind of theme of uncertainty and maybe some anxiety about kind of next steps. So I'm hoping that, you know, us engaging in these activities can kind of alleviate some of those feelings. All right, so I'm just going to front load you guys how the happy hour is going to go. So how my journal, and I guess I should have showed you guys that. So this is what the journal looks like. How my journal is organized, I have poetry, quotes, questions for reflection, and different activities to encourage self-love. So I'm going to kind of go through, that'll be kind of how this journaling hour is organized. So I wanted to start off with this poem. It's called I Love. I love my skin, like the brown in my thighs and the round round my hips, like the curl in my hair and the full in my lips, like the strength in my soul soft in my fingertips. I've never known a love like this. So it begins with self-love. So for this next writing prompt, I'd like you to write out 5 things that you love about yourself. What are those 5 things that you love about yourself? And we'll have 5 minutes to write those things. And then as you can see at the bottom, I wrote a little activity, which we won't be able to do this one today, but the activity is to write a love note to yourself, including those 5 things that you listed. And so the activity, if you want to write that down or maybe take a screenshot of this can be something that you do later today, maybe this weekend. But yeah, writing a love note to yourself. So I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And so, and feel free as you're writing to put some of those things that you love about yourself in the chat. I think sometimes we confuse, I don't know, I think sometimes there's this stigma about having confidence in yourself. And I know I'm encouraged when I see someone loving on themselves. I feel better even about myself. Like it is the most, I would say the most affirming thing to see someone else owning who they are, owning their agency. So I'm going to stop talking. You guys have 5 minutes to write 5 things you love about yourself. Starting now. So you have about 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So you have 1 minute left on this as you're writing. So start kind of finishing it up or wrapping up. And I'm going to read a few from the chat as well. All right, so my timer just went off, so let me read a few from the chat. Okay. So Michelle shared that she's friendly and caring, has a good heart and a good soul. I also see one from Angelette. I love that I've learned to not give up on myself so easily. That's so important. That I love and respect anyone and everyone that enters my life. Oh, well, congratulations, Reagan. I love that I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. That is awesome. Congratulations. And Brittany shared that she loves how intentional she is in listening and loving her friends and how creative she is. Thank you guys for sharing on that one. We are going to move on to the next prompt. I think I have some, okay, someone else, or we move on to the next prompt. So this one is a quote, and it says, "I'm finding that shame is a disease whose cure is not perfection, but the acceptance of not." So I'm going to read that one more time. "I'm finding that shame is a disease whose cure is not perfection, but the acceptance of not." So when I wrote that quote, I was going through a very difficult time of loving myself and loving all of who I was, not just the parts of myself that are pretty, but the ones I don't really like, or the ones that I can't Photoshop. And so I realized that it's not about being perfect, but the cure to that is really accepting exactly who you are and how you are, how you were created. And so this next prompt is, well, first, that's about accepting your imperfections. So what are your imperfections? So take 5, and actually instead of 7 minutes, we'll take 5 minutes to write this one out about what are some of those imperfections. And then the activity for later is to describe the way your imperfections make you unique. So describe the way your imperfections make you unique. And so if you have time in that 5 minutes as you're writing out your imperfections and you want to write out how do they make you unique. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get my timer starting now. So someone asked, what are imperfections? So basically like insecurities, things that if you could, you would change about yourself. What are those things that are not quite perfect? So that's what I mean when I say imperfections. We have 3 more minutes with this prompt. So you have 1 more minute. All right, so that is time, and I'm going to read, see what's in the chat. Okay, let's see. Some people talked about having crooked teeth. I had that as well. Someone said that they tend to be hard on themselves. And so giving herself more grace. Yeah. Look out for others more than herself. An overthinker to the point of talking yourself out of something. I 100% can agree with that. And it's difficult sometimes. You know, we can be our biggest critic sometimes is the person staring at us in the mirror. We can be our biggest critic. And so I hope even as you're writing about some of your imperfections, you know, even thinking that what you see it as an imperfection, someone else probably sees it as such a beautiful trait that you have that is different than what they have. I don't think we always take that perspective when we look at how we were created. So I'm going to go to the next prompt. So this poem is called Not. I was not taught to sit pretty and look nice. I was taught not to marry a man that can only offer me his last name. I was taught that the letters in front of my name are not more important than the letters behind my name. I was taught to know myself before I tie the knot. So the next question, how has your marital status affected your view of self? And marital status just meaning single, married, divorced, how we describe ourselves in relation to others. How has that affected your view of self? And I know I put 4 to 5 minutes, but I'm going to give us 3 minutes to write this prompt. So how has your marital status, if you're single, married, separated, divorced, how has that affected your view of self? And so the activity for later is single or married, find a reason to celebrate today. So I'm going to go ahead and start my timer for 3 minutes. We have about 1 minute and 20 seconds left. And mind you, if you are really liking these prompts, you know, you can revisit this even after this journaling happy hour. And maybe there's more that you want to say, then we can kind of do in a 30-minute happy hour. So 1 minute left. I almost forgot to unmute myself. You have to love Zoom. I wanted to share with you guys some have shared in the chat. So the prompt was, how has your marital status affected your view of self? And so someone shared, single, never been married, feel a little left out, left behind, like I'm missing out on an experience because everybody's married. Sometimes, and someone else noted, makes me feel like I'm not good enough to keep. And then someone else also commented, married, but sometimes she feels like she's lost a part of who she is, but also gained much better parts of who I am. Being single has taught me to love myself more. I've been celibate for over 10 years and I take it very seriously. Um, I know my worth and I can pretty much see through men that are not serious. That's a beautiful gift. Open for dating. I feel better, I feel like I'm a better person now, single, and can appreciate someone who is sincere in a relationship without questioning their sincerity. There's a few more. Single, never married, feelings of loneliness at times. And I think I can echo some of those for the single ladies. I'm single too. And it is a challenge sometimes, especially because our society kind of views married and singleness as this as a sometimes as a sickness, or as something is wrong. But as I've noticed is that the more I try to live up to a standard that someone else is putting on me, the more unhappy I become. And what I've kind of been focusing on is how can I create value for myself beyond what society says I should be doing, beyond what my biological clock says I should be doing. How can I set those standards for myself and value for myself? So, and I hope if single or married, you are continuing to love yourself and celebrate yourself every day, regardless of what your status may be. So this last one, the quote is, "Don't be afraid of your light. You are always meant to shine." Don't be afraid of your light. You are always meant to shine. Your light is unique and innate. And so for this last prompt, I'll give us 3 minutes. How have you let your light shine today? And the activity is let your light shine. Do something kind for someone today. And I wanted to include this in our self-love journaling happy hour. I think sometimes there's this idea about self-love that is it selfishness? Is it no, whenever you love yourself well, it gives you the ability to love others well as well. Because if you know how you would like to be loved, you can in turn give that love to someone else. And so I encourage us, as we have all been very transparent, and I want to thank you all for, even if you didn't include it in the chat, if you were being transparent on the page, just thank you for doing that. And I hope that all of us, as we're leaving this happy hour, can let our light shine. So the prompt is, how have you let your light shine today? So I'll give us 3 minutes to write that prompt. All right, 2 minutes left. Okay, we have 1 minute left. All right, time is up. So the prompt was, how have you let your light shine today? Let's see what's they're typing in the chat. All right, let's see. All right, Tam's commented, today my 12-year-old son, who always feels I'm so hard on him, we said positive affirmations and he had me to keep repeating them before he headed out to school this morning. Oh, that's so beautiful. The bus driver dropped me off in front of my job and it was so appreciated. And I told him, you are appreciated. That is so beautiful. And I just love that you say affirmations over your son. I think that is just so beautiful and so important. Reagan commented, my 2-year-old has been sick and at home. Instead of just putting him down for a nap, I rocked him to sleep first because I knew he needed that comfort. That is so beautiful. Man, you guys are just making me smile as I'm reading these. Okay, Tanya commented, I showed love and compassion that I have for others by giving someone a hug today. As someone who touches my love language, I'm sure they very much appreciate it. We need more hugs. And then Shakina wrote, she hasn't yet. Well, I encourage you, Shakina, I really hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I hope you get an opportunity to let your light shine today and do something nice for someone. And so lastly, if I can get to them. So I wanted to thank you guys so much for joining me for this journaling happy hour. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I did. This is so much fun. If you are interested in connecting with me, here are some of my contacts, my website, my Instagram, as well as my email, which I check very regularly. And if you have any questions, I'm sure you can put them in the chat. But thank you guys so much for taking out some time for this journaling happy hour.